Australia, say exactly what it is. They're banning social media for people under 16.
Yeah, 16 and under. They
That's a great idea.
They did it like a week ago, and I think any kid that actually had it, they deleted their profile.
Whoa.
And so they completely put a ban on social media or access to it. You know, kids will be kids, but this is a great step, in my opinion, at least, for developing minds
Mhm.
to not go somewhere for a quick dopamine hit or
Right.
to compare themselves to X, Y, and Z, who's, by the way, is superficial in the way they make themselves up on social media, like most people do anyways, right?
Right.
And just being kids and develop your brain and like develop the people skills, because people already as kids interacting is tough enough. So learning those interpersonal skills is so important at that age. And of all places, I think it's not the only country in the world, but it's one of our
That's
closest
so
allies that's
interesting.
done that.
Yep.
And so what do you think of that?
I think that that's exciting. I remember a book that won a Pulitzer called The Shallows, and it talked about the effect of the internet on our brains.
Yep.
And actually, that particular author came to Colorado Springs to speak, and people weren't listening then, but they are listening now. They are listening now about people so hooked to social media that they're having a hard time functioning as people, and it is affecting the amount of empathy that they have. So I'm excited about it in that regard. Who knows? Maybe it's something we can use, I hope so, because really, if you think about it, most of the parents are the people who gave these young kids the phones anyway. And if the phones were really used to talk back and forth between the parents, that could certainly, stimulate some good family conversations more. But my generation was just different. We didn't have all this electronic stuff. And I remember being outside a lot. I remember being at camp. I remember being at the community center
Mhm.
and walking to and fro to
Mhm.
places, which just kind of happens as a teenager because of not having a car. And those are good memories to
Mhm.
me of doing those active things, which is
Mhm.
something we need to get back to. And so, and back then, our community centers in Colorado Springs were funded by the those development block grants, those big ones from the federal government. And there was wide and sweeping programming that you could put the children into that was better for character building. It's so sad that those things went to the wayside, and then all of a sudden everybody has a phone. And I mean, I
Yeah.
get it. I've got grandkids in their 20s now, We we had a birthday party yesterday and had to say phones on the table.
Yeah.
But okay, let's touch on that, because you said your generation, right? And you talk about
Yeah,
these differences.
I'm an Xer.
But I'm raising my kids that same exact way.
Mhm.
So parents
Yay!
are like, oh, our kids are lost. They don't have a chance. They've got all this stuff. And I'm like, no, they don't. If you don't give them a device, which we haven't, if you don't watch a lot of TV, which we don't, when our kids come home, we have dinner together, and then they're like, can we watch TV? No, we don't watch TV during the week. Go play outside. And then pretty soon they stop asking you. They're like, Dad's going to tell us we can't watch TV. We can't do this. You as a parent can actually raise your kids
Yeah.
like
Sure.
me, right?
Right.
And that's
My
what
mother would disable the television. I was
Exactly.
like, I'm so mad. We were so poor. And then she finally admitted it. So I would disable the television. I was like,
you're like,
why?
oh.
She's like, because we had gardens that we could do in the
Exactly.
yard, and you guys
Mhm.
had pets that you could run around with. And I was trying to help you to do something besides sit in front of a screen. I was like, oh.
And it's such an encouragement. I've been telling any parent that can listen, I'm like, look, the greatest gift, there's a couple things you could give your kids. One is the gift of sleep, teaching them how to sleep well, not giving them devices, not letting them stay up late.
Yeah.
And the second is just protecting them from these devices, because they don't know how to protect themselves. And these things, the people that create these have created them genius to be addictive, right?
They
It's
know
like
it.
giving your kid nicotine. It's like,
Netflix had that, what was it? The Social Experiment. Isn't
Mhm.
that the name of it? I highly recommend that for anybody watching us on the podcast, and just really seriously consider. But I say this in love to each and every parent watching. For you to wean your children away from this, you'll probably have to wean yourself away from it.
absolutely.
But
That's
it
right.
could be worth it. You could have experiences out with your kids or grandkids that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. And I want to touch on this because COVID, we were talking with CB about this. COVID broke people, right?
Woo!
And when people are saying, I've got all these social connections, I've got all these Facebook friends, I'm like, those are not
Those are not
friends.
real.
You need to go have so we have a digital world and a physical world.
That
And the
part.
digital world can be a good thing, but it can also be a bad thing. But the physical world,
Woo!
Amen,
right?
brother.
Break some bread, drink a coffee, have a glass
Yeah.
of wine.
Yeah.
That's where you build a good city like Colorado Springs.
That part. And really, that's how you make a city like ours better,
That's right.
where people move beyond what they think they know online and who they are in person. Because I'll admit to having kind of a certain persona online. Because the event eve is fun, boy. If I'm like, come with me, we're running wherever we're going to, and we're having fun. People don't know that I'm an introvert that is just as likely to stay home as go out. That's not something that I would necessarily show on social media, but the person who comes to my house learns that. You know what I mean? The
Mhm.
person who comes to a party I have may discover that about me. And I think we need to rediscover one another as people and not as persona, not as an image, but
Mhm.
really like delve a little deeper. And it's a little more work, but it's worth it. The richness of the experience you can have.